Imagine a world where science and faith were at war. A world where one man's discovery threatened to unravel everything society believed about life itself. This is the story of Charles Darwin, a man whose ideas sparked a firestorm of controversy, pitting him against the most powerful institution of his time, the Church. But who was Darwin? And how did his journey lead him to challenge the very fabric of belief? And what about the forgotten scientist whose work was ignored amidst this chaos? This is the untold story of the battle that changed science forever. Charles Darwin was born in 1809 into a wealthy family in Shrewsbury, England. As a child, he was fascinated by nature, spending hours collecting rocks, insects, and plants. His father, a doctor, wanted him to follow in his footsteps, but young Charles had other plans. He was more interested in exploring the natural world than memorizing medical textbooks. After dropping out of medical school, his father sent him to Cambridge to study theology, hoping he'd become a clergyman. But fate had a different path in store for him. In 1831, Darwin received an invitation that would change his life to join the HMS Beagle as a naturalist on a 5-year voyage around the world. Despite his father's objections, Darwin seized the opportunity. The journey took him to remote corners of the globe, from the jungles of South America to the volcanic islands of the Galapagos. It was here that Darwin began to notice something extraordinary. He observed that finches on different islands had slightly different beaks, each adapted to their specific environment. This sparked a question in his mind. Could species change over time to survive? Darwin meticulously documented his observations, collecting specimens and taking detailed notes. He noticed that the tortoises on each island had different shell shapes, and the mockingbirds varied slightly in color and size. These subtle differences suggested that species were not fixed, but could change over time. But how? The answer lay in the harsh realities of nature. Darwin realized that nature was a battlefield. Only the strongest, most adaptable creatures survived. This process, which he called natural selection, was the key to evolution. But Darwin knew his ideas would be controversial. He kept his findings secret for over 20 years, fearing the backlash from the scientific and religious communities. Darwin spent years collecting evidence to support his theory. He studied fossils, compared species, and even bred pigeons to understand how traits were passed down. He realized that nature operated on a simple principle: survival of the fittest. Those best adapted to their environment thrived, while others perished. This process, which he called natural selection, was the key to evolution. Darwin's theory was based on 3 key observations. First, individuals in a species vary in their traits. Second, these traits are heritable, meaning they can be passed down to offspring. And third, more offspring are produced than can survive, leading to a struggle for existence. Over time, the traits that enhance survival and reproduction become more common, leading to the evolution of new species. Darwin's home in Down House became a laboratory for his ideas. He studied everything from barnacles to earthworms, gathering evidence to support his theory. He corresponded with scientists around the world, exchanging ideas and specimens. But despite the mounting evidence, Darwin hesitated to publish his work. He knew the implications of his theory would shake the foundations of science and religion. In 1859, Darwin finally published his groundbreaking work, On the Origin of Species. The book was an instant sensation and an instant scandal. The Church condemned it as heresy, and even some scientists dismissed it as blasphemy. One critic famously asked, "Is it through your grandfather or your grandmother that you claim descent from a monkey?" Darwin became a target of ridicule and scorn, and his health began to deteriorate under the pressure. But despite the backlash, his ideas began to gain traction, revolutionizing the field of biology. The battle between Darwin's theory and religious belief was fierce. The church argued that his ideas contradicted the Bible's account of creation, while Darwin insisted that science and faith could coexist. Over time, however, the evidence for evolution became undeniable. Fossils, genetics, and modern biology all supported Darwin's theory. Yet, the debate continues to this day, with questions about creation, evolution, and the nature of existence still dividing opinions. Amidst the chaos of the Darwinian controversy, another scientist was quietly making groundbreaking discoveries. Gregor Mendel, an Austrian monk, was conducting experiments on pea plants in his monastery garden. He discovered the basic principles of heredity, laying the foundation for modern genetics. But Mendel's work was largely ignored during his lifetime. Why? Because the scientific community was too preoccupied with the debate over evolution to pay attention to a humble monk's findings. It wasn't until decades later that Mendel's work was rediscovered, proving that inheritance played a crucial role in evolution. The irony? Mendel's discoveries could have answered many of the questions Darwin struggled with, but the controversy overshadowed his contributions. Charles Darwin's journey was one of discovery, controversy, and ultimately, triumph. He dared to ask questions that no one else would, and in doing so, he changed the course of history. And while Gregor Mendel's work was overlooked in the heat of the Darwinian debate, it serves as a reminder that science is a collective endeavor where every discovery matters. Charles Darwin once said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." And perhaps that's true not just for life on Earth, but for ideas themselves. Darwin's theory of evolution challenged the world to rethink its origins, sparking debates that still echo today. What do you think? Do science and faith have to be at odds, or can they coexist? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the lives of Darwin and Mendel, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more thought-provoking content, and share this video with anyone who loves a good story about curiosity and discovery. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history. And remember, the next great idea might just start with a question. Until next time, stay curious.